Hello, readers. Welcome back to the She Reads Romance Books podcast. This is your host, Leslie, and today I am sharing what's probably one of my most favorite episodes to record here on the podcast. You know that every month I share my top 10 most anticipated new romance books for the upcoming month. But today I'm sharing my most anticipated new romance books for 2026. That's right, I'm looking at the entire year next year because there are, oh my gosh, so many new romance book releases already announced and on my TBR. But I had the hard job and narrowed it down to 26 of my most anticipated new romance books for 2026. Which you can find on my full book list on shereadsromancebooks.com. But for today's episode, I'm going to share 18 of those 26 because I want to leave you craving more, right? So if you are craving more, definitely bookmark that full list. But I'm going to try and crank through 18 of the new romance books coming in 2026 that I honestly just cannot wait to get my hands on if I haven't already with some awesome advanced copies. Now, before I get to the 18, a quick note of a few of my favorite authors that aren't on my list and why. So, Ali Hazelwood, who does not love Ali Hazelwood? She's amazing. And 2025 was an amazing year because she joined the She Reads Romance Books book club for our author Q&A in October. It was incredible. She's awesome. So she hasn't announced a new book yet for 2026, but when she was in the book club, she said that she's pretty sure that she is going to have a new book for 2026, but we won't necessarily hold her to it. But of note, her previously released book, Two Can Play, which was only available as an audiobook on Spotify, will be releasing in print and ebook on February 10th. So yay, we have at least that to look forward to. I believe Emily Henry is releasing a new book, but I'm not sure if and when. That's going to be in 2026. She might just be basking in the People We Meet on Vacation movie, which is going to be premiering this January. And then maybe working on her next movie, but hopefully maybe she's just waiting to announce that new release as we get closer to January. So fingers crossed on Emily. Now, Christina Loren, they said that they do plan to release a new book in 2026 because we did not get one in 2025. We just don't know anything about it yet. We don't know the title or the cover as of this recording. So I'm keeping my eyes on them. We do have a title for Ashley Poston's latest. It's called The Someday Garden, which is going to release in 2026. But again, as of this recording, we don't really know much more. As well as Hannah Bonham Young's 2026 release, which is going to be People Pleasers, but still waiting to hear more from that one too. So lots to still come in 2026, in addition to these most anticipated new romance book releases here in this episode and on my full list. Now, of course, I want to share with you, or I want you to share with me, your most anticipated new releases. So let me know in the comments here on this podcast. Drop me a line on Instagram or Facebook. And as always, to remind you to keep track of these 18 books that I'm going to mention today, or the full 26 titles on my book list, then now is the perfect time to get your own copy of the romance book reading journal that I created. You'll have lots of space to write down these new releases on the TBR page, to track your books by romance book trope, to review the books you read, and so much more in this planner, tracker, and journal in one. Okay, now without further delay, let's dive into my must-read new romance books releasing in 2026, starting off with something spicy, and that is Fundamentals of Being a Good Girl by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone, which is going to release January 13th. So we don't have too long to wait for this book, but here's what it's about. Maddie Kowaltz, I'm not pronouncing that name right probably, is ready to be a bad girl. When the rookie lecturer lands at Astra University, she's looking to start fresh after a messy breakup. But her first night in town takes a twist when she bumps into Brom Lowe, a reserved but incredibly handsome single dad she, not so accidentally, stole a parking spot from earlier that day. The unspoken chemistry as he locks eyes with her while she gets a birthday spanking at a local bar is hotter than a Bunsen burner at full flame. Brom is looking for a break from his hectic life as an ecology professor and dad to rambunctious twins and a busy teenager. So when his college friend's divorce celebration brings him face to face with the same delectable brat who stole his parking spot, he's ready for a night to remember. But the next morning, Brom's world turns upside down, and that's not just the hangover talking. His new nanny, none other than Maddie, who also happens to be the new poli-sci adjunct at the university where he teaches. Maddie is desperate and broke, so when Brom offers her a raise and the chance to set some ground rules, she can't say no. As the two settle into their new roles, the normally unruffled Brom finds that no one riles him up like Maddie does, which is a problem when every argument feels like foreplay. Of course, Brom is an educator first and foremost, and he very quickly finds he can't resist the temptation of instructing Maddie in the fundamentals of being a good girl. And it turns out Maddie's a hands-on learner. Already, we are jumping into something good, my friends, for 2026. I cannot wait to dive into this new series by besties Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. It's the perfect book, I think, to kick off the new year with some spice. And you know, if these two are writing it, it's going to be amazing. I love the university setting, the forbidden nature, since she's his nanny and maybe sort of co-worker at the university. And I love that she's a baddie he's trying to reform in the best of ways, of course. So extremely excited to dive into my advanced copy of this one. Stay tuned for what I think about it. All right, so we first started off with something spicy. Now on to something that I'm sure will be spicy, but also extremely funny, and that is Just for the Cameras by Megan Quinn, releasing on February 3rd. And here's what it's about. They're faking it for the cameras, but what if the sparks are real? Graydon St. John doesn't do drama or public appearances. The brooding defensive end for the San Francisco Foghorns prefers silent solitude in avoiding headlines. But when a league-wide PR scandal forces him into a media stunt at the city's zoo, he's suddenly face-to-face with squawking birds, nosy fans, and the zookeeper who seems to hate his guts on sight. Maple Baker loves her flamingos. Loud, pink, messy, sure, but they're hers. And the last thing she needs is a grumpy football player stomping into her sanctuary with a bad attitude and a bigger ego. Unfortunately, they've been paired for the zoo's new public outreach program, and the cameras are already rolling. The banter is sharp, the tension is electric, and the more they pretend to play nice for the press, the more their fake flirtation starts to feel like something dangerously real. But when family secrets, viral fame, and a PR romance gone off script threaten everything Maple's worked for, Graydon must decide if he's willing to fight for love or let it slip away to protect her. So, a new sports romance series from Megan Quinn. Yes, sign me up, folks. She is diving into the world of football, you guys, and I am here for it. Plus, I hear that we might get some cameos from her other sports series, so maybe some of our baseball or hockey boys. I'm anxious to see who, but I love a good fake relationship, especially if it's only for PR purposes initially, and I think only Megan Quinn can write a romance set in a zoo where a heroine loves flamingos, because it just sort of has quirky written all over it. So we'll see if it's my pick for best rom-com for 2026, but I'm sure we're going to get a bunch of laughs for sure. All right, so moving on from spicy and funny to a few I anticipate to be tearjerkers for 2026. The first one being No Matter What by Cara Bastone, releasing on March 17th. And here is what this book is about. Roz and Vin can't look each other in the eyes anymore, let alone share a bed. It's been a year since they survived a traumatic car accident, and their marriage hasn't been the same. But Roz has held out hope they can fix things until she discovers Vin signed a new lease. So she does what any soon-to-be divorced Manhattanite would do, sign up for figure drawing class. Between Roz's determined attempts to improve her artistic skills and her adventures with her best friend Rafi, she can almost ignore Vin's impending move-out date and his footsteps in their previously unoccupied guest room. But it would all be a lot easier if Vin wasn't Rafi's older brother, and if she didn't still find him incredibly, debilitatingly attractive and kind. So kind, in fact, that Vin offers to let Roz draw him. What is she supposed to say? It's probably better than her original plan of finding some random male model online, and she needs all the practice she can get. Plus, that's sure to make a separation easier, right? Focus on every detail of your estranged spouse's body while drawing them in the nude. But after the year they've spent avoiding each other, it feels good to see and be seen by another person again. As Roz works to capture the wholeness of the person she fell in love with, will they both be able to draw upon the feelings they bury deep inside to finally heal together? Whew, okay, gosh, Cara, I don't know how you come up with these amazing ideas. This one earned a spot on my list of most anticipated romance books for 2026 for several reasons. First, because Promise Me Sunshine, her 2025 release, honestly blew me away. I mean, I loved that book so much, you guys. It made my list of best romance books of 2025, so I hope that this one is honestly just as good. Plus, I love romance books with married couples, and the fact that she is going to be drawing her husband, oh my gosh, I think it's going to be incredible. Cara writes the best emotional romances, and I really want to feel this one down to my soul. No pressure, Cara, but that's where my expectations are landing. I cannot wait to read it come March. Okay, another probable tearjerker releasing in March on the 24th is The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez, and here is what it's about. For Larissa, it came when choosing who to ride home with after a concert. That night, she had no idea she'd met the perfect man. She and Chris are great friends, co-parenting a slightly unhinged rescue Yorkie, sharing their favorite books and judging bread, pumpernickel for the win. For the first time amid all her side hustles to scrape by, things finally feel easy. But she didn't choose Chris to drive her home all those months ago. She went with his best friend, and he became her boyfriend. All Chris wants is for Larissa to be happy. Standing by on the sidelines is slowly killing him, but making a move would destroy someone else. How can something that feels so right be absolutely impossible? Oh my gosh, Abby, seriously, you are going to rip my heart out with this one. I expect nothing less because that's what you do, but that's why I love you and your work. Nothing screams heart-wrenching like missed opportunities and unrequited love, and this one has both. I already feel the angst in spades, and will be sure to have a box of tissues at the ready when I dive into this one. I'm so excited, and I know it's going to wreck me in the best possible way. Okay, now we've gone from spicy, funny tearjerkers, now on to some standalones or starts of a new series from authors who just knock it out of the park each and every time, and I can't wait to see what they bring in 2026. The first one being Happy Ending by Chloe Lisi, which releases on April 14th. And here's what it's about. Thea and Alex have 3 things in common. They love food, they hate where they live, and they're both divorced. Otherwise, they couldn't be more different. Thea's never cooked a day in her life. Alex is a world-class chef. Alex resents feeling stuck in his hometown. Thea resents the town for not feeling more like home. Thea and her ex are in a contentious custody battle for their dog. Alex and his ex amicably co-parent their daughter. Beyond a few friends in common, a couple small world connections, welcome to life in a mid-sized city, their lives look nothing alike. Fast forward 2 years and they're truly the best of friends. No one would ever believe their friendship began as a lie. 2 years ago, their exes got together immediately following their divorces, and somehow Thea and Alex found themselves spinning a spite-fueled story about being old friends and first loves. 2 years later, what began as a ruse has grown into real friendship, just friendship, despite what friends and family seem to think. But when their exes invite them on a 2-week, 2-family beach vacation, daughter and dog included, Alex and Thea start to wonder if this story they've spun might have gotten away from them, and if it's led them to the last place they ever thought it could, a happy ending. You guys, this sounds super cute. Gosh, and I am so ready for a new book from Chloe. I loved her Bergman Brothers book, so to see her kind of craft something completely new for this year is really exciting, and I'm loving this sort of fake friendship to real friendship to possibly more with this couple. I think it's going to be a great one for this year. Okay, next up on my list is Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune, which is going to release on May 5th. Here is what her new romance book is about. Frankie and George have been best friends since they were 8 years old. Both passionate, impulsive, and headstrong, they've always clashed and come back together until now. It's the eve of Frankie's wedding weekend, and she doesn't know where they stand or even if George will show up as her best man. Then, at the start of the festivities, in walks George. For one glorious evening, surrounded by her loved ones, Frankie's life is finally perfect. But it all comes crashing down when her fiancé dumps her the next morning, leaving only a note as an explanation. Crushed and confused, Frankie returns to her family's home to wallow, but George has a different idea and a plan for healing Frankie's broken heart. He wants her to go on her honeymoon with him for 1 week to the lush rainforests and misty beaches of Tofino. Frankie agrees, seeing the trip for what it really is, one last chance to repair their friendship. Even if it means unearthing secrets and long-buried feelings neither knows how to handle. Even if it means falling apart for good. Oh my gosh, Carly. Seriously, this is amazing. Plus, your book cover that's in purple this year is just beautiful. I have loved Carly's last 2 books and honestly cannot wait to go back to Canada, though British Columbia, I think this time. In her next romance that looks to be obviously a friends to lovers romance. I love the tension that's sort of already there given their rocky past and the things that sort of brought them apart until he arrives at her not-to-be wedding. It's giving me total people we meet on vacation vibes for sure, and I loved that book, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one in 2026. Okay, next up is one of my favorite authors. I cannot wait to read Dolly All the Time by Annabelle Moynihan. Her new romance book is going to release on May 26th, and here is what it's about. If they begin by pretending, can they end with something real? Dolly Brick has never met a problem she couldn't solve, not when her mom left when she was 12, and not at 39 when she moves with her son back to Whitfield, Rhode Island for the summer to keep her dad and brother from losing the family home. So when she comes across Stuart Whitfield, annoyingly handsome scion of the Whitfield family, with a flat tire and at the wrong end of a very public, very humiliating breakup, it's in her nature to help. But Stuart's proposed arrangement ends up being more than either of them bargained for, because as public dinners and high society benefits turn into sunset boat rides and swinging on the porch, Dolly starts to feel something more than helpful. She's never relied on anyone besides herself. Can she really start now? I adore Annabelle's writing, you guys, and her last 2 books were some of the best I've ever read. So I have super high hopes for this one, which is a fake relationship. She told me when I had her on the She Reads Romance Books podcast that she loves the fake relationship trope. And I think this is the first time writing it though, and I do too. So I cannot wait to see the tension that she creates for Dolly and Stuart as things start to feel very real in their relationship. So the end of May cannot get here soon enough for Dolly all the time. Now, the next book is from a debut author that I wanted even more of after reading her 2025 debut. So the next book on my list of most anticipated new romance books is Not That Kind of Proposal by Victoria Levine. It's going to release July 21st, and here's what it's about. Gracie Holland can plan the perfect happily ever after unless it's her own. After a soul-flattening breakup, she's rebuilt her life planning weddings at Larkwood, an ivy-covered Rhode Island estate where she lives in the staff cottage and only occasionally cries herself into a blanket burrito. But when her beloved boss passes away and leaves the estate to her grandson, Gracie suddenly finds herself pitted against a love-allergic divorce lawyer determined to sell Larkwood by summer's end, even if it means crushing his grandmother's legacy and everyone's jobs beneath his polished wingtips. As someone who cleans up romantic disasters for a living, Jude Larkwood has no intention of keeping the estate as a wedding venue, no matter how much he loved his Nana. Selling it is critical for reasons he can't discuss, but there's just one problem. His Nana inexplicably left the guest cottage to the estate's maddeningly romantic wedding planner, who has somehow turned his mind into her permanent residence. So when Gracie proposes that he help her plan her ex's shotgun wedding to prove Larkwood is worth saving, he agrees on one condition. If she fails to convince him by the big day, she'll sell him her cottage. But as bickering and cake tastings turn into late-night confessions, Gracie and Jude find themselves breaking every vow not to fall for each other. After all, opposites may attract, but can a hopeless romantic and a professional cynic really say I do to their own love story? So as I said, I was blown away by Victoria's debut novel of 2025, which was Any Trope But You. I was seriously blown away by it. I loved that book so much. So I've been waiting for news about her second book, given that she was on maternity leave after that first book was released. So her sophomore debut is finally going to come in July, and I am so pumped for it. Romance books about wedding planners and divorce lawyers are always so much fun, especially for opposites attract fans. So I'm really excited for this one to come out this July. Okay, those were some sort of standalones or starts of new series from authors I love. Now, some of my most anticipated new romance books of 2026 from authors that I love and series that are continuing that I cannot get enough of. The first book being Catch Her If You Can by Tessa Bailey, releasing January 20th, and here's what it's about. Madden Donahue, the newest catcher for the Yankees, has been in love with Eve Mitchell since high school, but for some mysterious reason, the burlesque club owner always turns him down. That never stopped him from being her self-appointed protector. Case in point, now that Eve's sister has left Eve with her 2 children indefinitely, Madden steps in with a proposition. Marry him for the much-needed health benefits. Eve has secretly harbored feelings for Madden all along, but there's one problem. Her best friend Skylar called dibs on him when they were 14. Eve has always put their friendship above all else, and she's not willing to risk losing Skylar over a man. Raised by the local strip club owner, Eve is woefully short on friends and treasures the ones she has. But with Skylar happily paired off, Eve finds herself accepting Madden's proposal, on the condition that their marriage remains strictly private. She's not about to let her unique profession and a maligned reputation destroy Madden's shiny new career. Madden won't let Eve get away that easily, though. What starts as a marriage of convenience soon ignites into something much hotter, and now it's up to Madden to convince Eve that their connection is far more than a business arrangement. As the passion builds, can their fake marriage become the real deal? I am 100% looking forward to reading Tessa Bailey's latest because I have just devoured every book in her Big Shot series, which this book is a part of. I mean, this woman has written the best books, but she just keeps cranking out these New York Times bestsellers that are phenomenal. Now, Picture Perfect was one of my favorites of 2025, and that was book 4, I believe, in this series. And in that, we definitely got a glimpse of Madden and Eve's attraction towards one another because that was Skylar's book. So I'm really excited to finally get their story in 2026. So plus the fact that it's a marriage of convenience, right? Between an MLB player and the woman he's pined for, who happens to inherit like this adult club and her like niece and nephew. Oh my gosh. Way too much already to love about this book. Cannot wait for it to drop next year. It's going to be fantastic. Now, this next book is on my list because I was really looking forward to it, but I also already read it and loved it, so it's highly deserving for its spot on this list. And that is And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison, which releases on February 24th. And here's what it's about. Jackson Clark and Delilah Stewart have had their fair share of run-ins over the years, often ending in disaster. While Jackson thrives on routine and organization from the comfort of his radio booth, Delilah loves the spontaneity and adventure out in the field. When they're partnered against their will to cover a historic snowstorm, they find themselves scrambling to figure out how to work together. Eager to be taken seriously as a journalist, Delilah offers Jackson a deal. If he can help her ace this assignment, she'll help him rediscover his long-lost fun side. With unexplored chemistry burning beneath their clashes, the unlikely partnership quickly tumbles into an easy and surprising friendship. But when other feelings start to enter the equation, can Jackson and Delilah withstand the storm, or does what happens in the mountains stay in the mountains? So, as I said, this made my list of most anticipated new romance books, even though I read it because it's so good. And it was one of my highly anticipated after falling so hard for First Time Caller earlier in 2025, which is the first in her series. I never would have guessed that I'd fall for 2 meteorologists, but Delilah and Jackson are just the cutest in this snowed-in, forced proximity, opposites attract romance. It has all the goodness wrapped up into this fun must-read story. I loved it so much. I hope you do too. It's definitely worth a spot on your TBR list. Okay, next on my list of most anticipated new romance books is In Her Own League by Liz Tomford. This is her new romance book that's going to release on March 3rd. Now, there is no cover for this book, no book blurb for this book as of this recording, but that never keeps me from adding Liz Tomford's upcoming release to my most anticipated list of the year because they're so worth it. I'm beyond excited that she has decided to write Monty and Reese's story that has been hinted at the previous books in her Windy City series. So this book is kind of like a adjunct or sort of spin-off to that series. I love Monty, you guys. Gosh, he is just amazing as a dad, as a friend, as a coach, and I cannot wait to see him get his happily ever after, which looks to be with the new owner of the MLB team where he coaches. So stay tuned on SheReadsRomanceBooks.com and my list because I will update the cover and the book blurb as soon as it comes out. But another book in a series that I devoured in 2025 that's coming out next year is Mistakes Were Made by Lucy Score, and this new release is coming out March 10th. Here is what it's about. Literary agent Zoe Moody has been exiled from the Manhattan publishing scene to small-town Pennsylvania with her best friend and only remaining client, romance novelist Hazel Hart. Zoe's bank account is running on fumes, forcing her to liquidate her designer wardrobe to make ends meet. But this plucky heroine has a plan to climb her way back on top. Nothing will stand in her way. Okay, nothing except for 6'2" blue-collar landlord Gage Bishop. He's smart, serious, and sexy. When he isn't practicing law, he's working with his equally attractive brothers in the family construction business. Worst of all, he's ready to settle down. Zoe might be the most beautiful, infuriating woman Gage has ever met, but her special brand of chaos makes it clear they're all wrong for each other. She's allergic to commitment and afraid of animals. He's looking for a wife and lives in a literal barn. For clarification, it's a converted barn, but he does live there with a golden retriever who doesn't understand the concept of personal space. These opposites can attract all they want. They both know it will never work out. For one, even if she wanted to, Zoe could never give him what he wants. But when Gage's world is rocked by a devastating family secret, he turns to Zoe for one night to forget everything. That one night just might change everything or ruin it. Yeah, that's more like it. Now, Lucy Score, right? She writes the best series. And I already fell for The Story of My Life this year, which we read for book club. And ever since, I've been feral for Zoe and Gage's love story. Zoe is hilarious, and I love the city girl who reluctantly came to the small town for her bestie. And Gage is just this typical, right, middle child, small town man looking to settle. So the complete opposite of Zoe. You know that Lucy is going to make this such a rich story with even more to learn about Storybrooke and the family. So I'm really, really excited for this new one in 2026. Okay, another book continuing an awesome series that I've fallen for that's going to release next year is Unbound by Peyton Corinne, and it's going to release April 7th. Here is what this new romance book is about. Paloma Blake is at best anti-agnostic, but beneath the hairspray, attitude, and promiscuity is a scared girl whose trauma runs deep. Still, the walls she's built are strong, ensuring everyone only sees Paloma's sexy facade, everyone except for Bennett. Bennett Reiner, the carefully controlled neurodivergent goalie, has his routines and sticks to them, which helps him keep a hold on his OCD compulsions and the crippling anxiety that comes with them. The quiet and meticulous Bennett sees everything, especially the girl beneath Paloma's ever-present masks, and he always has. Unbeknownst to their friends, Bennett and Paloma were each other's first real love, which ended in crippling heartbreak. Bennett still doesn't know what happened, and Paloma is determined to stay away from the comfort she used to find only in his arms. For years, Bennett has remained her protective shadow, coming to Paloma's rescue whenever she asked, keeping her as close and safe as she'll let him. But like a tumultuous sea to a constant shore, Bennett and Paloma find each other once more. Alternating between scenes from their past and present, Unbound contrasts the tentative tension and passionate beginnings of first love with the devastating loneliness and deep yearning of having that love ripped away from you without truly knowing why. As Bennett discovers the truth about Paloma's past, the threads of his careful control start to come unbound, and both begin to realize that letting go of everything else might be worth it, if it means they both get the real love they once shared again. Oh my gosh, you guys. Unbound is the latest in Peyton's The Undone series, which I became obsessed with earlier in 2025. It's a new adult hockey romance series, and you can never read enough of those, honestly, in my opinion. But the previous ones were amazing, and you got a peek at Bennett and Paloma in Unloved, which I devoured and has me so excited for their full story. I'm actually a little bit nervous because I have a feeling there might be some uncomfortableness into why they broke up in Paloma's past, but I have my advanced copy. I'm just waiting for the perfect time to dive in. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I'm so deserving to be on this list because I'm really excited for it. And I hope that you are too. Okay, we've got a couple more. I hope you're with me, but another most anticipated new romance book I cannot wait to in 2026 because it's going to complete a series that I've absolutely devoured, and that is Rider by Jessica Peterson. It's going to release April 7th. Now, this is another book that has no cover yet, no blurb reveal, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to read it because I've devoured every other single book in Jessica's Lucky River Ranch series. Honestly, it's hard to pick a favorite from that series, which is really saying something because I feel like she knocks it out of the park with every single one of these cowboy romance books. I'm sad that Rider will be the last book as he's the last brother of the family. However, she told us when she joined She Reads Romance Books Book Club in 2025 that she's going to have more cowboy romance books. Thank God. But I'm sure we are going to get a hint of Rider's story, or at least what's to come of his stories when we read his twin brother Duke's story, which releases on December 2nd. So just binge the whole series, read Duke when it comes out in December, and then we will all have a happy reading party reading Rider by Jessica when it comes out on April 7th. Okay, let's see. Is this my last of a series? Nope, we got a couple more. Okay, next on my list is Birds of a Feather by Kate Stewart. This is going to release now on May 26th, and here's what it's about. Tyler Carter Jennings is an enigma, charged with the task of guarding the Ravenhood as well as every secret of those who belong to it. He keeps those burdens, along with his past and personal heartbreak, to himself. As a highly trained Marine and tactical reckoning force, there's never been a situation he couldn't handle until her. Larissa DeCiccio is all too familiar with the weight of secrets and their consequences. A member of one of the most powerful and influential families in the world, she was just a teenager when her older brother disappeared. Charged with the responsibility of maintaining her family's legacy, she has no choice but to seek refuge in the only man who may be able to help her escape her fate. When Larissa and Tyler collide, they both recognize what powerful adversaries they are, and that losing their hearts to one another while sharing all they know might be the most damning and dangerous thing they've ever done. Whew, okay, so Birds of a Feather was on my list of most anticipated new romance books of 2025, but its release got pushed back from December until May of 2026. So it's landing on this list as well because I'm really excited for Tyler to get his happily ever after. And this also gives me more time to actually read Severed Heart, which is huge, you guys. It is 720 pages of his prequel story, which I think is going to be super sad, but I'm really glad that we're going to then get his happily ever after that in this book, because it's been so long since we met Tyler in the Ravenhood series. So yeah, this book is a long time coming. It's going to be awesome. I know it, and I cannot wait to read it. Okay. Another book that's completing a romance series that I love is Bad Boy Era by Amy Dawes. It's going to release May 26th, and here's what it's about. Rule number 1 on the Everly Fletcher Matchmaking Manifesto: never fall for your best friend's grumpy brother. Everly is the matchmaking mastermind of her family, but her own love life is a bit of a flop. Back from 4 years in Dublin, she's ready for a quiet summer on Fletcher Mountain, helping launch her aunt's animal rescue center, until Conry Wolf Riley shows up. Wolf is her college roommate's infuriating twin brother. He's brooding, Irish, and college rugby's resident bad boy with thighs that could crack a watermelon. His red card reputation has trashed his rugby prospects until a training camp in Denver comes calling. As a favor, Everly reluctantly gets Wolf a place to stay if he volunteers at the rescue center. Now Everly finds herself working and living next door to the Irish tattooed grump who treats her like a nuisance, but looks at her like he could press her up against a hay bale until they forget their own names. Wolf swore he came to America to fix his image, not fall for his sister's best friend. Excuse me. But the more time he spends with Everly, the harder it is to keep his distance. Perhaps Everly's in her bad boy era, or maybe Fletcher Mountain might has its own matchmaking plans. Whew, okay. Amy Dawes' first book in her Mountain Men Matchmaker series was the first book of the month for the She Reads Romance Books book club. So Amy and this entire series will always hold a special place in my heart. We first saw Everly's matchmaking ways in 9-month contract, and now we are here at the end of the series where she gets her own happily ever after returning from her time abroad and, of course, falling for a bad boy. So it's going to be hilarious to see how Max, her dad, and her 3 uncles react to the new man in her life. And with Amy's amazing talent at writing banter, I think it's going to be hilarious and swoony and just the perfect package. So I'm really looking forward to this one in 2026. Okay, we have got 2 more, you guys. And my next most anticipated new romance book release is Father Material by Alexis Hall. It's going to release on June 2nd. And here's what it's about. Luke and Oliver have been through it all. Fake dating to save Luke's career. I guess this is actually for real dating when all of that blew up spectacularly. Briefly breaking up over irreconcilable differences. Definitely getting back together over perfectly reconcilable everything else. Almost getting married. Finally moving in together and ultimately celebrating years of perfect domestic bliss. But as all their very grown-up now friends begin reaching new life milestones, advancing careers, and having babies, Luke and Oliver decide it's time to open their hearts and lives to something new. A tiny, squirming, adorable bundle of furry joy named Spud. And maybe now that hearts and lives are already open, there's room for someone else, something more, something that may require them to find in themselves a little father material. Oh my gosh, of course I am looking forward to Father Material after having loved Luke in Oliver's love story from boyfriend material and husband material. This book is honestly a long time coming, and I'm wondering if there is going to be a twist as there was in husband material. Not sure, but these 2 are so flawed and lovable in the best ways, and Alexis Hall writes the best romances, so I'm really excited that we're finally getting Father Material in 2026. Now, the next book is another in a series that I have come to devour and cannot wait for this next one, and that is Lost and Found by Tara DeWitt. It's going to release July 14th, and here's what it's about. Bea always wanted to be a mom, but she never expected she'd have to lose her best friend to do it. Armed with nothing but her best friend's eggs and a bucket list to complete, Bea's world is a sea of changes. When Silas steps in to give her a place to live when she needs it, Bea is half relieved she has a longtime friend in her corner. A firefighter living in the wake of an accident, Silas has his own challenges to work through that have left him cautious and vulnerable in equal measure. At first they expect nothing, but as these 2 former sunshines knit together in a love that has been unfulfilled till now, a new beginning comes out of the ashes of the past. One that will lead to a love that can withstand all the slings and arrows, joys and triumphs that life can throw. Okay, last but not least, I cannot wait to return to Spoons for the latest in Tara's series, which I have been obsessed with ever since reading Savor It. I have a feeling Silas's story is going to be a tearjerker, but in the best way possible. I already love him, and I only had to read the summary to fall for Bea. I have a feeling that their love story is just going to be, chef's kiss, one of the best of 2026. I'm super excited for it, and I don't want to wish half of the year away, but July can't come soon enough for this one. And that wraps up my list, you guys. I hope you're just as excited as I am to get your hands on all of these new releases for 2026. Don't forget, there's even more that I can't wait to read on my full list of most anticipated new romance books of 2026. So click the link in the show notes so you can go and see each and every one of them. Honestly, 2026 is going to be another fantastic year for romance book lovers, and I cannot wait to hear what you think of them. Also to note, I didn't mention this earlier, that I have a separate list of my most anticipated new romantasy books of 2026. So you can check out that list as well, where I keep all of the fantasy romance books for the new year that are definitely on my TBR list. And before you go, don't forget that I'm now on Substack. There you can read my past posts, but also subscribe for free so that you don't miss a future post, as I always share the week's new releases that you don't want to miss, as well as my book reviews every Friday. And you can be sure that you are going to be hearing all about these books that I shared today and my thoughts on them throughout 2026. So be sure to join my newsletter list today over on shereadsromancebooks.com, or you can find it on Substack. Okay, everybody, until next time, happy reading, because life is better with a love story.